Alright guys, so we are going to get going on lesson, I guess it would be lesson 1.3, but it is our second lesson, right? So previously, in our previous lesson, we watched a video and we discovered that we were going to be studying Darwin's bark spiders. And we are going to figure out what silk is best to use for all kinds of different things. And so today we're going to go further with that. We're going to watch another video that kind of explains a little more on what they do with the spider silk and figuring out ways that they use the features and the traits and the variations. These are all vocab words that we are using, okay? So we're going to jump into Amplify, and so what I need you to do is I need you to go into Google Classroom, and I need you, there's a bunch of links to a bunch of stuff in there, and we're going to walk through everything together. So there's going to be 2 videos, right? So this is your first video, and then your second video will be a hands-on model. And so with this video, what I need you to make sure that you have open is your Amplified, and because we're going to walk through the Amplified together, I will tell you at different points to pause the video, go to your Amplify, do the activity, and then come back to the video. I also want you to have open your traits and reproductions chart for 1.3, and that is a list of names. There should be a 7th grade one and an 8th grade one, so whichever one you guys are. If you're in 7th grade, open the 7th grade one. If you're in the 8th grade, open the 8th grade one, and your name should be on there with an article next to it. I need you to have that open because we will be working in an article together, and so each person has their own articles that I have assigned you guys to. And then in the next video, you guys will be using the rest of the stuff. So you'll be using the modeling protein molecules, and then you'll also be using Padlet. So you can have those opened, but you won't need them until the next video, okay? So right now, the most important things that you need to have open is Amplified and your traits and reproductions chart 1.3. Okay, so we're going to jump into Amplify now. Let me take my face off your screen so you can see my screen. And you should be opened up to this. It might take you to lesson brief first. And it should say lesson 1.3, surprising spider silk. Go ahead and just click warm up, and that's where we're going to start, okay? So students record questions in preparation for watching a video about how scientists study spider silk, right? Because that's our whole point. We're studying Darwin's bark spider and their silk, and so we're going to learn how to do this, right? We're like interns right now. So in your warm-up, you are about to watch the second part of the document about how scientists study spider silk. Before watching this video, record any questions you may have. And so when I say this, guys, I am dead serious. Like, I want you guys to really tell me any questions that have popped up. I want you to tell me if the first lesson was really confusing for you and you have no idea what we're talking about with these spiders. I want you to tell me if this has made any other questions pop up. You know, maybe you think this is really cool and you want to know, how do they get the spider web out of the spider? How do they mate the spiders? How are they getting the spiders? Where do they find the spiders? Any question that you have, I don't care what the question is, as long as it is a question that you truly have that has to do with this lesson, and I want it in a complete sentence. So go ahead and pause this video, jump onto your Amplify, and do your warm-up. So now you should have been hitting play, so I should have been plenty of time because you paused it, so, you know. Go ahead and hit next activity. And now we are going to watch this video. And so I will be uploading it onto our lessons just in case this gets a little too glitchy because it's just on my screen. So hopefully it works out, and pay attention.
And how about this spider? Did she eat yesterday?
She also ate.
So much is unknown about spiders and spider silk. For most of the questions, you actually have to go outside, get spiders, bring them back into the lab, and do research on them. This is a Western black widow, and we're going to collect silk from her today. Let's start by first anesthetizing her with some carbon dioxide gas, so she'll be easier to handle. The spider's asleep from the carbon dioxide gas, and we place her on a platform. Now we're at the stereo microscope, and we're going to manually pull out dragline silk. So here I am. Okay, she has a fiber. So we collect it onto poster board. What do you think of that one?
You can clearly see the strands.
So why don't we remove her from our platform and put her back in her cage?
Sure.
There are a variety of properties that can be measured from a silk fiber. In my lab, one of the ways we measure these properties is with a tensile test. A tensile test is where you take a material and you pull on it. And by pulling on the material, we can figure out how strong it is, how stiff it is, and how flexible it is. So now what Matt is doing is he's cutting the sides of the card so that the only thing connecting the bottom and the top of the tensile tester is the silk fiber. What's going to happen is the top head is going to move upwards. And as it moves upwards, the testing machine is going to measure exactly how far the silk fiber extends until eventually the fiber breaks. Let's take a look at our results. Here's the start of the test, and it keeps elongating. The fiber reached as far as it could go, and the fiber snapped, it broke. Once we have the information from the tensile test, we can compare the properties of one silk to the properties of other silks or to other materials. And by doing this, we now will have the information we need so that we can basically be a matchmaker between the application someone might have in mind and a particular silk type. You can find the perfect match. There's still so much to be discovered about spider silk and the applications of spider silk that this kind of work, it keeps me and the members of my lab busy 7 days a week, 365 days of the year.
Alright guys, so now that's the second part of that video. So remember that we are investigating differences in the silk flexibility trait of a spider family, so the Darwin bark spider. In the previous lesson, we investigated differences in traits by observing the cells of different spiders in the sims. So think about your simulation, okay? All of this connects together. And so by thinking back, you can put it with what we are doing right now. So then we'll click Next Activity, and now we are up to Activity 2. And so our question for this lesson is, what determines an organism's traits at the molecular scale? Now I want you guys to stop and think, what does molecular mean? What is a molecular scale, right? So to be able to answer the question, we have to be able to understand it. So molecular scale means you are looking at something that you cannot see with the naked eye and making it bigger so that we can see it, right? So like cells and proteins, we can't see those with the naked eye. Those are inside of our bodies and they are tiny, itty bitty. So we need to look at them on a molecular scale. You know, we use microscopes and we blow them up big, just like when you saw in the video when she went to take the spider web out of the spider, right? That's not something we can do just by looking at it and trying. I mean, if it's a really big spider, maybe, but for tiny spiders, it'd be impossible. So we stick them underneath the microscope, and we use the microscope to be able to look at something that is so tiny on a molecular scale so that we can see it, okay? So now we're going to go into some reading, and here's some active reading guidelines that I want you guys to think about. Think carefully about what you read, pay attention to your own understanding. As you read, annotate the text to make a record of your thinking, highlight challenging words and add notes to record questions and make connections to your own experience. Examine all visual representations carefully. Consider how they go together with the text. After you read, discuss what you have read with others. We will do that together. Help you better understand your text, right? So that's stuff that we've been doing, like in Padlet. So then I'm just going to go ahead and click Next. And so we're going to start to read about all of these different proteins and how it affects different spiders. And so what is a protein molecule? A protein molecule is a type of large molecule that performs important functions inside the organism. So that's this. Okay, and I wanted to show you this before I jump into the article. Just so you guys can see, this is what it actually looks like. Now, in our simulation, it looks totally different, right? We have lines, and it's not as, I don't think it's as awesome looking as this, but this is what your actual protein would look like. So now I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. So this will be on your guys' page. I'm going to go into Spider Silk. You see it opens a new tab, and with that new tab is the Amplify library. And so here's a few things just in case it's been a long time since you've used Amplify. Here's a recap. If you go to these 3 lines and these 3 dots, this will take you to all the different articles that we are doing right now. So together we are going to read different silks for different functions. And then, okay, go away. And right here you have the Audible, so if you want someone to read to you, I use this a lot because my mind tends to wander and then I have to read the same paragraph 15 times. This helps me stay on track a little bit better. And then you have all these different things up here that we'll get into that deeper later. So you can see I already have some annotations, so I'm just going to kind of explain what those annotations are, or maybe I should just delete them really fast. I had to go through and do this before so that I actually, because guys, I am not a strong reader, and so to be able to help you guys out a little better, I went through it beforehand. So don't be shy of not being a strong reader, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. So here we go. Deep inside the body of a spider, specialized cells produce protein molecules. Okay, so there's protein molecules. That's the picture I just showed you guys. So that's something that I can look into. Let's see what this is. A type of large molecule that performs important functions inside organisms. Okay, but what does the word specialized mean? So let's go back. Let's see. If I say specialized, okay, I know that this is a word that says special. I mean, it has the word special in it, so maybe it can relate to that. You know, if something's special, it's different, it's important. But the end of the word is different. It says ized, right? So specialized. I think that they would relate, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to make a note. And I'm going to put, does this mean special? Question mark. And then I'm going to use a hashtag. Hashtag question. That hashtag is going to help me find it later on, okay? So now we're going to keep going. Make sure you guys read the blue dotted highlights, and I will be able to see if you guys did by this blue check mark. The more we see things and the more we read things, the more it'll stick to our brains, and while we're going through this, more it'll help things to click. So these long protein molecules connect to form an amazing material, spider silk. Here's another word, spider silk. We've been using this a ton. Now I'm going to make another note. Is this the same as spider web? Question mark. And then I'm going to use my same hashtag question. Alright. And then I'm going to save it. This is annotating, okay guys, so things that I don't understand or questions that are just popping in my head while I'm reading, I'm marking them down. So spiders use their silk to build strong webs, to trap bugs. Oh wait, right here. Spiders use their silk to build strong webs. So this just answered my question that I asked 2 seconds ago. So here's a note, and I'm going to put the silk is used in the spider web. And then I'm going to put a hashtag connection, right? Because I just made a connection. I just figured out the answer to that question. But I'm going to leave that question there so that my teacher, Mrs. GD, can see that my brain is functioning and I'm figuring things out. So, spiders use their silk to build strong webs, to trap bugs, to save themselves from falling, to wrap their eggs safely, and to even glide through the air. How can one material, spider silk, be used for so many different functions? Functions, here we go. This is a vocab word. How something works. We talked about that in our last lesson. Different uses for the spider silk are possible because not all spider silk is the same. There are many variations or differences in a spider silk. Variations, any difference in traits between individual organisms. Okay, and then right next to it, it kind of gives me a rundown. It means differences. So I'm going to highlight these two and make a note. Variation. Equals, oops, that's plus sign, equals differences. And then I'm also going to put hashtag connection, because this is another connection I made. Okay. This is because there are different features of spider silk, such as strength, stickiness, stretchiness, and color. Ooh, there's different color spider webs. I like that. For each of these features, there are several possible traits. Here's another vocab word. Traits. A specific characteristic of an individual organism. Sorry, I know when I move my screen it gets loud for you guys. For example, let me go ahead and take that away. For the feature of silk color, a spider might have the traits of making gray, white, or even golden colored silk. So this is really interesting to me because remember, feature is something that we all have, but the trait is specific to us. So I didn't know there was different colored spider webs. So I'm going to put different colored spider webs I find interesting. Okay, and then I'm going to put hashtag interesting. Okay, so I'm going to save it. We go down. Oh look, that's the spider that makes the golden web. And look, yeah, you can actually see it has a golden tint to it. That's really pretty. Spiders have different traits for each feature because of differences in the protein molecules. There's that word again. Here's protein molecules. Why is it not going? So this has been repeated. So repeated many times. Probably important. I'm just going to save that. That's just a note that I'm making. The cells of different spiders make different kinds of protein molecules. There's that word again. And these molecules combine to make different kinds of silk. This means that the kind of protein molecules a spider makes for a feature determine its trait for that feature. The spider pictured above makes specific protein molecules for the silk color feature. These protein molecules result in a golden colored spider. So protein, let's go, I'm just going to highlight this, make a note. Protein helps dictate certain traits, right? Because the protein's what tell, oh, I spelled protein wrong, sorry. The protein's what, so this is a connection, so I gotta add to that and I gotta put hashtag connection. Okay. And then it says to learn more about amazing spider silks and proteins that make them that way, read one or more of the chapters that follow, and that's what you guys are going to do. So one thing that I want to go over before I exit this article is that if I come up here and I click this pencil and paper, I can see everything that I've done, right? But I won't say I decide to ask you guys a question and I say, what did you find interesting? And you're like, well, you know, I did some stuff in between reading the article, I don't really remember. You can come back to your article, push hashtag interesting. Oops, make sure you spelled it right. And then boom, making gray, white, and even golden colored silk. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But now when you go to answer in the discussion, you know, if I said, what did you find interesting? You can say, it said that spiders can make gray, white, or even golden colored silk, and I found that interesting. So now I can see that you really read the article. You even pulled a part out of it. Okay, so that's also making a connection. Okay, and we use that too. Maybe I ask, what connections did you make? Connection. Here they are. So that's why I used hashtags. So I want you guys to use hashtags. You know, you can put hashtag question, hashtag connection, hashtag interesting, hashtag discussion if it's something that you want to discuss. Make sure that your hashtags make sense so that when I read your annotations, I can go through them and say, okay, I understand why she's using or he is using this hashtag. And nothing inappropriate. I don't want to see any inappropriate hashtags, and I don't want to see any hashtags that have nothing to do with science or this article, okay? I don't want hashtag share for share or hashtag like for like. I don't want any of that, okay? Like, just stay focused on school right now. So now I'm going to go ahead and go back into Amplify, and I'm going to go next. There's our protein molecule that was talked about so much in the article, right? So protein molecule, a type of large molecule that performs important functions inside the organism. And there it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit next again. And now it's your guys' turn, okay? So I want you guys to think about the protein molecule and think about how it's different in the sim. I want you to think that the protein molecule that make up the silk allow the spiders to do many different behaviors, right? So in the article we read that it can catch prey, moving, protecting their eggs and young. These behaviors increase the odds of survival and reproduction. So we're going to learn more about what does survival do with all the different silks coming in. So go ahead and pause this video. Actually, look at this is the 8th grade one. I don't have the 7th grade one, so you'll have to look at your own. And I want you to see that everyone's name is here and everybody has a specific article that they are supposed to read, okay? Make sure that you go to the article that you are supposed to read. So look at your Traits and Reproductions chart 1.3, and I want you to find what article you're supposed to have and then go to it. Oops. You are going to pick it, and then you are going to read it and annotate it. And then once you are done, you will be able to see all your annotations, and then you will, so go ahead and pause it and do that right now, please. All right, I'm assuming you just hit play and you should have already annotated all your stuff and be able to see it. So go ahead and hit hand in. Mine says update because I already worked on it earlier. So just click hand in and then next activity. So in this next activity, we're gonna go, we will be doing, as you can see, it says building physical models of proteins. This is what the second video is about. So the second video will be your hands-on thing. Now, I will be using Connects. Some of you may have Connects. They're like a fancy Lego, is how I like to think of them. If you have these Connects, then I want you to feel free to join me in doing it, okay? I would love if some of you were able to do this with me, because in the classroom we would all be doing it together, and it's kind of a break from getting off of the computers and reading. So that's where we're at right now. So the connection that I want you guys to think about and I want you to make is based off of your reading. You just read about the various types of silk that different spiders can make. Now we are going to use models for proteins to learn more about how proteins determine silk flexibility in the Darwin's bark spider, okay? So remember, this is the specific spider that we're talking about. We're going to focus on the different types of silk that Darwin's bark spiders can make. And remember, silk is made from the proteins, and so proteins are so small. So that's why we have to use models. So our investigation question is, what determines an organism's traits at the molecular scale? Okay, proteins are so tiny, and since they're so small, we can't observe them directly. So scientists use models to represent things on a molecular scale. So remember, it's so tiny, so we have to blow it up and make it a molecular scale, so that we can observe it better. And in the next video, you're going to see that we're making out of Connects protein models so that we can understand it, okay? So I want you guys, the structure is another vocab word that we are going to be learning. The structure is the way something is shaped or constructed. In science, when we describe the structure of an object, we describe its shape, okay? So in today's activity that I'm going to be doing, we're going to be looking at these protein molecules, right? So here's your connects. This is what I was talking about. So if you have these, I hope that you can do it with me. If not, this is why we're making a video about it. So in today's activity, you will examine models of different spider silk protein molecules. You will describe its shape and think about why it is shaped that way. Okay, so as you can see, we have protein 1, 2, and 3, and they're all shaped different, right? They all have a different amount of connects to them. And then we need to talk about its function. So we can see its structure, but what is that function? What is a function? How something works, okay? So something might be shaped a certain way, and because it's shaped that way so that it can have its specific function. So a function is how something works. When you describe the function of an object, we are describing what it can do or how it works. What can a wheel do? Wheels roll across the surface and can help move other objects. The structure of a wheel allows it to serve this function. Okay, so remember the structure. So the structure, we look at the wheel, it's round and it has spokes in it. And because of that structure, it's able to hold objects and roll. You know, if it was a square, it couldn't roll. And so we're going to look more into this, and we're going to look at the protein structure and how that structure of the protein determines what the silk looks like in the spider, okay? And so now I want you guys to go ahead and open up your model protein molecules. And this is what it looks like, right? And so as in your next video, as I'm doing the experiment, you will be filling this out, and I'll be walking through it with you guys, okay? Because that's what's fair. Again, if you have connects, please build the connects with me. That would be super awesome. You're going to describe what they look like. Usually I just let you draw them, but, well, we're on computers. So describe it to me, and then you have all these questions. Again, we're going to go through this in our next video. So go ahead and hopefully you have finished all the Amplify curriculum that we have just gone over. And then we're going to go ahead and get started on this building the models. So all of your Amplify should be done by now. We just have to do this modeling part. So we're going to finish the modeling part in the next video. So go ahead and shut this video down, open up your next one, and when you open up the next one, go ahead and open up your modeling protein molecules worksheet. And you might want to open up your Padlet as well. All right? So I'll see you guys in like 2.5 seconds.